Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday. Sorry, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, the 29th of September. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We're trying new stuff here, folks. So forgive me if it's not working. Let's take the other one out for now. Good morning to freedom fighters all over the world. How are you guys doing? This is the very first time for a long time that we are able to do an 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host Joey Salvador. You're listening to Freedom Fighter Radio, coming to you live from the heart of the Great White North, Midtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Thank you all for tuning in. Haven't done this for a while. Actually, it wasn't planned. Well, it's in the long-term plan that we're supposed to be broadcasting 8:30 in the morning to try and catch our Australian brothers and sisters, those who are long intros are annoying. Hello, Anne. Good morning, Anne. Well, I'm figuring out a new intro here, so I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm doing my best for you. I'm trying to figure out actually how to kind of control this. This is brand new. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. And thank you for. See, I don't know how to. There you go. Found it. Oh, we've been trying for a long time to come and broadcast on a an 8:30 weekday morning so that we can catch our um, Southeast Asian, the Asian side, the other side of the world uh, friends. Good morning, David. How are you doing? David. As you can probably hear from the sound of my voice, it's a little. I only have an hour's sleep. I'm trying to get back to sleep, but it's not possible. It's very uncomfortable when you're not able to sleep, but that's exactly what we are going to talk about today. Because I think. being comfortable is kind of overrated, folks. And I think we really need to start practicing if we are going to survive the dark winter that they are somewhat predicting is about to come to the planet. I think the people who will survive such kind of tyranny, such kind of dark winter, are those who know how to endure discomfort. Trying to get this quote, maybe one of you, um, fellow ladies and gentlemen, maybe one of you know. If you can go to the internet, I good morning, Angela. See, some of the people we haven't seen for a while. We know that we can only reach you if we do this 8:30 in the morning, and I've been trying this couple of days. It wasn't easy to do the early morning because I'm always doing late night work all through the night. Usually, I usually go to bed 2:30, 3:30 in the morning. But today it's even worse because I didn't go to bed at all. I went to bed like an hour before I drove my wife to work at 6:30 in the morning, and then I was hurrying up to come home, trying to fall asleep, but it's a problem when I get up, even though I only had an hour sleep. When I get up from the bed, it's very hard to catch that sleep again. And dark winter has been mentioned by many heads of states, and one of the person who loves to say that a lot is Joe Biden, and I think they know something's about to come. But folks, I think the people who are going to survive such a dark winter or dark season in our history are those who know how to endure discomfort. And I'll be honest with you, when before I came to Canada, I know how to endure discomfort. I know how to endure hunger. I know how to endure tiredness, and I knew how to endure um, having not having very little resources. But Canada, life in Canada, because of the abundance that our beautiful country has to offer, I actually kind of dropped the ball in the area of knowing how to endure hardship, knowing how to survive in time of lack, a time of scarcity. Let me give you an analogy. When one of my older brothers, and my younger brother too, actually, but one of my older brothers, he loves to look after, from as long as I can remember, even I was a little boy. He likes to buy an aquarium, which is not cheap in the Philippines. He likes to buy an aquarium, decorate the aquarium, and buy goldfish and all kinds of different kinds of nice tropical fishes. And even when he was still in Canada, I heard that haven't seen him for years now. He used to live up in Brampton, and then I heard, because we lack communication, he's my half brother. But I heard that he went back to the Philippines. But even here in Canada in the early 90s, I remember that he really loves taking care of an aquarium or having an aquarium as a pet. Well, the fish is the pet, but maintaining an aquarium is a lot of work. So the aquarium itself becomes a pet on its own. It's a high maintenance thing. But anyways, one of the things I really learned from a principle from uh, looking after or trying to grow your aquarium with populating it with tiny little goldfishes. I see him buy a goldfish, and usually it comes in a cellophane, right? Like a plastic bag, a cellophane, and it comes with the water that came from the aquarium where the fishes were swimming prior you buying them. So the water that came from that aquarium is exactly the temperature the fish are comfortable with. And I see him before he pours when he buy a couple of fish. It comes in a cellophane. The water's in the cellophane, but before he pours the entire water with the fishes into the aquarium, he would actually kind of just let it float on the top, like the cellophane with the water. Kind of, he would not pour the entire um, cellophane, the water in the cellophane with the fishes. He would not pour it into the aquarium, but he would let it sort of acclimatize in one corner of the aquarium. He would just let it sit there for a while. And he told me that the idea for that is the temperature of the water inside the cellophane will start adjusting with the temperature in the aquarium before you pour the fishes out into the aquarium. And the reason for that is if you don't let the fishes acclimatize to the new environment or to the whatever temperature, because you know every aquarium's different temperature. But if you just drastically put them in there, some in his experience, some of them fishes die immediately. So that's against aquarium law, I guess. That's against pet taking care of an aquarium pet rule that you don't just pour it out drastically. The difference between the temperature can kill the fishes instantly. So that's the idea is to acclimatize. Now, let me ask you, with this analogy, we know that the tyranny is at the gates, the tyrants are at the gates. And are you guys ready? I'm just wondering, what if all of a sudden the tyrants decide, hey, this is the way we're going to get compliance from all the people? Maybe we should turn off the power grid. Maybe we should turn off. I'm speaking as if I'm the tyrant, right? And you can never underestimate the evil that lurks in their brains, the evil that floats in their minds. What if they say, to get compliance, just like similar to what we're having right now? Compliance. If you want to be able to eat in a food court, in a shopping mall, you got to get your Vax Pass. For you to be able to sit in a bar drinking some beer with your buddies, you got to get your Vax Pass. You want to dine in a restaurant, you got to get your Vax Pass. And little by little, they're trying to m- make that sort of like a funneling. They're making people's liberties and comfort level become a little bit more difficult the more you resist from complying, the more they turning the heat up, so gradually but very surely. They're turning the tyrants in our country and across the world, they're turning the heat up. So I just want you to be realistic. All of us freedom fighters, we really need to be realistic and face the truth, which is they're full of evil. Their hearts are darkened by evil, and you can never underestimate what kind of evil, what kind of level of evil they would like to pull off, and to bring more tyranny to the people of the world. So if they can do this, you know, limit people's abilities and liberties, I'm sure they can turn up the heat even more to the point that they would really just want to get rid of us who are critical thinkers and those of us who don't want to comply. So what if their evil really get intense and they say, okay, you know what, without compliance you won't have food, without compliance you won't get your prescription drugs, without compliance we would not even allow water flow through your pipe to get into your faucet, to get into your buildings and apartments and houses. What if they say we're gonna cut off the electricity so you might freeze in the winter cold, or will cut off the electricity so in the summer you'll just die of heat? Once you're evil, I don't think there's level of evils. I honestly think it's either you're evil or you're good. There's nothing in between. So those who choose evil, they will function in evil, and it's not unimaginable for evil to think that way. Okay, we're up about a heartbreak here. But folks, you're listening to Freedom Fighter Radio. We're talking about comfort levels and how are we going to transition to a life under tyranny. But folks, don't go away. You're listening to Freedom Fighter Radio on a Wednesday morning. I'm your host, Joey Salvador. We will be right back in a few minutes.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up? Whoa!
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio. And Joe, you're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right, always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes. Hey guys, this is Chris Sky. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
Please consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support.
Canadians all across the country are sick and tired of the lies, the fear-mongering, and the hate speech they hear from the mainstream media. Download the free radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio. Click the link below, scan our QR code, join our mailing list, and get a free download of our Freedom Fighter Radio app only here on OJTV on The Ordinary Joe Show. Yeah, it's Freedom Fighter Radio. On a Wednesday morning, I'm your host, Joey Salvador. You're listening to the Freedom Fighter Radio morning show. This is a Freedom Fighter Radio World. We are supposedly scheduled to go 10:30 this morning. Actually, some of you will be receiving a notification via email because we're testing our notification system. I programmed it for 10:30. That was the original plan, but I couldn't go to sleep, so I thought, you know what? Let's try and do the original plan, which is two shows every morning, 8:30 in the morning, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time for all our world viewers, especially our brothers and sisters in the fight in the other side of the world. It seems like they're not able to participate and join us when we do the 10:30. However, we also gonna be doing a 10. So we're having two shows today. Now is for our Freedom Fighter Radio World, and at 10:30 we are going to have our Freedom Fighter Radio Canada, which is focused on Canadian issues. So that is a long-term original plan. I haven't been able to do that, but today we are able to do it, even though it's very difficult and uncomfortable because I only had an hour's sleep. But you know what? It is very good and timely actually to do it today because what we're talking about today is specifically about trying to survive in an uncomfortable situation, and that's exactly what we need to learn. I love this old saying that goes. I hope many of you have heard this before, but I really need to commit this to memory. But listen to this. An old quote. I don't know who said this, but it goes like this: Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. So it's a full circle. So there's four lines to it, and it's a cycle, and and I love it. I love it because it's totally true. And let me read it again for you, and so that we can. I'm gonna try and commit this to memory because I guess this particular saying is. I love it because you really need to learn from your mistakes and learn from the past. And I think uh, the reason people keep on going in circles is when they don't learn from the past and the failures of the past, and if they don't know the signs of the times, and they don't know how to mitigate that entire cycle to get out of the cycle or the treadmill. And this is the treadmill of life. Let me read it again for all of us here. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. I love it. I love it. Let's go to our comment section and just shout out everybody who has joined us. We didn't have a lot of reaction, the likes and the loves today. That's fine, but we have a lot of people stopping by the comment section. So let's shout out. And JJ Lee, she's very annoyed of the long intros. You can skip that out, and you don't have to watch it if you don't like it. But thank you for joining us, and I hope that you're enjoying this morning show. Good morning to David Carlson. Good morning to Angela Rosine Cadio. Angela, I haven't seen you for a while. Thank you for coming back today. You got a link here that we'll take a quick look. It looks like it's from the real Pat King. David Carlson was saying, "Darkness leads to light. Stay strong, freedom fighters." Angela, again, I'm a volunteer for all, for we are all essentials now. Overcoming adversity creates resilience and resolve. And David was saying, we know the tyrant's game plan: divide, dehumanize, shame, vilify the opposition, Operation Lockstep. And Cloward Peven, the WEF and the UN agenda. It's hidden in plain sight. Everyone, do your research. Exactly. Very, very good recommendation there, David. And Lily Juni. Hello, Lily. And David Carlson. And anybody who's not have nothing to put in our comment section, give us a like or a thumbs up or a smile or a heart so that I can see your name. It will appear here on my dashboard when you do a reaction on this video. So I see two right now, Scott Hammond and Anita Pennell. Thank you for joining and thank you for listening to the morning show. And again, we're going to do two shows. Hello, good morning to Justin Villamore. Hey, brother. Nice to see you in the audience members here. So please do go there on if you don't have anything that you think you want to comment or send as a in way of comment here on the show right now, please give us a like, a thumbs up, and so that I can see you on the dashboard, whoever's tuning in, because we have multiple channels, folks, and I cannot go to each and every channel, and I have limited view here. But we are broadcasting in 8 different channels. The only channel I'm not able to set up is Rumble, but we are also broadcasting on our radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio app, sponsored by Zeno FM. Welcome to all our listeners across the world who's listening to us on our radio app. And the radio app has so many advantages, but the only disadvantage is we don't have any way to interact with our listeners unless you guys come over and interact with us here on either Facebook, YouTube, or Rumble. Rumble is a little bit of setting up, and kind of I did this on the fly. So in about 5 minutes, many of you who already signed up for our mailing list will receive a notification by email today that we are about to go live 10:30. And the reason we're doing email notification now is because of the shadow ban. We know that these platforms not notifying everyone. Just imagine we have 15,000 in one page, we have another 3,000 in another page, and we have 2,000 in a brand new one, and I have almost 5,000 uh, friends, freedom fighter and friends in my profile. And if people are not getting notified, we know exactly why. They don't like our message. So we are going to try new notification system, which is by email, and we will try that. We will experiment with it as well. So everybody, please join our mailing list. Scan that QR code. Let me just take your comment quickly off there, Justin Villamore. See the QR code. This is pretty. That's an old one actually. Let me get the new one for you. Where is the new one here, folks? This is the new one. Could you please scan the QR code, join our mailing list, so that you can get notification, because we are going to try different things down the road. We are going to have certain days that we are not coming back or we're not going to broadcast here on social media. We're just going to specifically broadcast on Rumble and on the radio app. And the only way we can let everybody know is by email address. And maybe we'll do a short live here on social media, so that let's see how many people will be notified by it. And so we'll do that experiment, because we cannot rely on social media. I know it's not the easiest thing. Again, we're talking about living a life of discomfort. I think we should start embracing some sort of discomfort in our lives and actually thrive with it. And if we learn how to thrive with discomfort and a little pain, and kind of exercise your willpower when it comes to enduring pain, enduring hardships, enduring scarcity or lack, I think that might be an important skill set to start developing. So, one of the things I really want to talk to you about today, when it comes to conditioning yourself, conditioning oneself for a possible pending hardship in life because of all the tyranny that are gonna be rolled out to the people of the world. Um, and just before I continue with that train of thought, let's just give everybody comfort at the same time. We are so spoiled about being comforted wherever we go in the big cities, in a Western society, North American life. We are so accustomed to comfort, right? So everywhere you go, prior to the COVID, prior to the lockdowns, whatever you do, you go to a restaurant and people greet you. You buy your coffee from a cafe. You are being served. You come home. You have microwave, easy. There's a lot of things and technology and lifestyle in North America makes for a very, very comfortable life. But again, if we go back to that saying that says, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. I honestly think to be, let's be blunt a little bit. If tyranny become full throttle in all the world, and let's say we don't know when the full hammer of this tyranny will come down. It might come down quickly. I don't think it will be a smooth transition. Why do they have to try and make it a soft landing? The tyrants, if they want to exercise their power and their tyranny on all the world, they don't have to transition slowly and gently towards tyranny. Well, there are certain aspects where they're trying to get people to embrace tyranny. So they're oops, we got an alarm here. Okay, we have a minute before our hard break. Um, yes, I understand that the tyrants, because maybe the only thing that we learn from history are the very bad scenarios in times like the Holocaust and scenes, that we see from behind the Iron Curtain. Those are etched in our memory, but people don't know even, and don't have a memory how they transition towards being full tyrants, or being in under full tyranny in the societies that they live in. But I'll be very honest. I think that when the tyrants decide, okay, now is the time to really roll out full tyranny, it's sad to say, folks, a lot of people won't be able to survive. I think a lot of people will die instantly because of the discomfort that people will be experiencing in the tyranny that's about to come. But we are doing our best as freedom fighters to fight them off and push them back. But we also have to have a defense strategy. We like I've been saying for weeks now, we need both an offense strategy but also a defense strategy, where if the scenario ends up being that they actually make headways in their tyranny, that we will just have to maybe run up the hills. But folks, there's a lot of things to say about this, but don't go away. We're just up against a hard break here. You're listening to Freedom Fighter Radio. I'm your host, Joey Salvador. Don't go away. We'll be right back after these messages.
Freedom Fighter Radio. What is up? Whoa!
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio and Joe. You're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right, always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful. Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Guy. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
Please consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support.
Canadians all across the country are sick and tired of the lies, the fear-mongering, and the hate speech they hear from the mainstream media. Download the free radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio. Click the link below, scan our QR code, join our mailing list, and get a free download of our Freedom Fighter Radio app, only here on OJTV on The Ordinary Joe Show. Yes, it's Freedom Fighter Radio, only here on the Ordinary Joe Show. I'm your host, Joey Salvador, and this is Freedom Fighter Radio World. We're coming to you live from the heart of the Great White North, but 8:30 in the morning start is specifically for us to reach out to all our Freedom Fighter World Freedom Fighter brothers and sisters, and specifically, we're reaching to our brothers and sisters in the fight across the world on the other side of the world. namely the UK. I think the UK it's quite at nighttime right now in the UK, but at this time in the morning, we're specifically reaching out to New Zealand and Australia and other Southeast Asian countries, the Philippines, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan. This is the best time for them to be tuning in. I think it's prime time there right now. It's 9 in the evening in the Philippines, Singapore, Japan, and Korea. In Australia, it's a little earlier, I believe. So if any Australians, in my experience, if we do the 10:30, we don't reach out to many Australians who are our analytics shows that we have 20% Australian, and maybe some of them are listening through our radio app. But shout out to everybody in the radio app listening to our program this morning. Again, thank you for joining in. We were talking about hardships. We were talking about transitioning to learning how to survive in the pending tyranny that the globalists and the new world order and the tyrants are trying to bring about in the world. And I'm sure that they really are gung ho. They are very determined to put the entire planet under tyrannical lockdowns or under tyrannical grip because they're vile, evil, greedy people that they just want to be in total control. And they don't care how many people they will kill. It's part of their agenda. I think genocidal agenda or um, you know the what's the other word all of this deaths that we a friend of mine and the father of Bob Solis in the Philippines just passed away last night. Another friend of mine, a person that I know very well, succumbed to the disease and almost I'm, I'm almost doubting it is the disease that's killing people more than actually the malpractices how to handle this COVID thing in the hospitals. This is my worry. So may I suggest to everyone, as much as possible, try your best not to. If you come down with COVID, try your best not to have to go to the hospital. If it's just if you don't have a severe symptom, you test positive, but you don't have a severe symptom. Try and 99% of the people recover without having eh, to go to the hospital. And what I heard is that 99% of the people who get the COVID get very, very mild symptoms. Even if you get like sort of severe symptoms, but not to a point where you cannot breathe, you know. I will recommend, and a lot of doctors are recommending early treatment because right now what the hospitals are doing is if you're not dying yet, they'll send you back home and say, "Hey, come back when you're dying." And the problem is when people test positive and they're feeling sick, the hospital doesn't recommend anything in terms of like therapeutics or trying to combat the problem in the early stages, and that doesn't make sense to me. So if you test positive and you have a mild symptom, try your best to mitigate that with all kinds of stuff that vitamin C, vitamin D, selenium, and all these things that you normally use when you come down with the flu prior to COVID. You know, all these other mitigation, problem mitigating solutions that you've tried in the past. Do it for yourself, even when the hospital says you've got COVID. And the only problem right now is they suppress the use of ivermectin and other therapeutics such as ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine and this thing that has to do with your antibody monoclonal something like that. It's very hard for me to pronounce it. I heard it many times. Um, but as much as you can, try and refuse to be on the ventilator, because what I've noticed from two of my older friends that passed away, and I know that there's one who is in her 40s. I don't know her well, but she's friend of friends. And those people who don't survive the hospitalization is usually through the ventilator. Once you're put on the ventilator, it's very unlikely for you to come out of it. So, you know, I'm not a medical doctor, but this is what I'm hearing. And so, if there's truth in that, I myself, so I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I myself personally, if I ever come down sick, I'll try to recover from home as much as I can. And with the things that I have, in reach. So I already isolate myself anyways. I usually just sleep on the couch because I work late into the night, and I don't want to go to bed when I'm not clean. And so, and if I get sick, that's what I'm gonna do, and that's what I always have done, even prior to COVID, is to separate myself from my family and sleep in a different room. Okay, so don't try your best to mitigate the problem early on. As soon as the early signs of COVID, if you come down with COVID, mitigate it. Try your best not to be hospitalized. And if you end up being hospitalized, ask for everything else other than on a ventilator. Because, man, I'm telling you, according to many observations, even firsthand observations I get from people reporting to me how their family members do, is usually being on the ventilator becomes almost a death sentence, in my opinion. That's my opinion. And I'm not a medical doctor, and I'm not a medical professional. That's just an observation, folks. So don't take that as medical advice. I don't do any medical advice. I share what I hear, and I just share what I think is reasonable and sound advice. I share it with you because I care. Anyways, but one of the things that we need to learn also is to learn how to, if you don't come down with COVID, and or if you already be down with COVID and you recovered, the other problem that we need to face is, um, those of us who refuse to be compliant. They will really turn up the heat on us. Like I said, what if they think, let's let's pretend I'm the tyrant, and I'm one of the tyrants, having a conversation, a meeting with other tyrants, and in my imagination, this is how their conversation is coming down. And one of the tyrants will say, what about we just cut off their food supply? So maybe if we cut off their food supply, they will, then be compliant. Then they will come out from the woodworks and they will take the vax. What if we cut the water supply into their apartments? Or if you're not vax, we won't let you see your doctor, or we won't let you even get your prescription. So let's talk about that right now. That is a very important topic to talk about, because a lot of people will either give in and then take the vax because they don't know how to push against that pressure. But you don't know, if you give in to the vax, your entire human genome is being altered here. I really would like to recommend you to listen to Dr. Kerry Madej. And you know what? When you listen to Dr. Kerry Madej, do it like this. Listen to Dr. Kerry, and then also listen side by side with what the tyrants are talking about regarding their plans. And one of the things you should look into is the fourth industrial revolution. And this is out in the open. The WEF, the World Economic Forum, is not even hiding it, folks. They have web pages with videos that they're explaining their agenda. So go to Google, look for World Economic Forum, the fourth industrial revolution, and they're not ashamed of talking about biodigital convergence, like transforming humans into human 2.0 so that we'll all integrate with 5G and we'll all integrate with technology and all of kinds of nanotech tech that they want to insert into our bodies. They're not ashamed talking about all of their dark agendas, folks. So, an assignment to all our freedom fighters who would like to be loyal listeners to our show on a daily. Tomorrow, let's talk about that. If you're coming back tomorrow on our morning show tomorrow, please do a little bit of homework tonight. Listen to some of the latest uh, recordings and videos of Dr. Carrie Madej. I really like her. She's one of my favorite doctors that are outspoken. And side by side, compared what she says, and many people accuse her of being far out there, right? Because she likes to talk about the nanobots and the hydrogels and all this technology that they are mixing with his facts. She likes to talk about, and I, the reason she likes to talk about these things is because she believes it's true, and I believe her. And she likes to talk about 2.0, altering our genome, altering our genetics. And if you're not human anymore, and I heard this many years ago from Alex Jones, he said, okay, folks, there is what we call human rights, and there are animal rights. There are even robotic rights that machines have some sort of rights. There is the law of robotics, which I touch on a little bit in previous episodes, but we'll dig deeper on. Do you guys remember from the movie I Robot, the three laws of robotics? That's an actual law. There is actually three laws of robotics, and you can look it up. And it's based on, of course, the main priority in the three laws of robotics is for the protection of humans. But there are many other side things that comes with that people are trying to put in squeeze into the entire robotics principles. But anyways, to before we get too diverted to that, there are human rights and there are animal rights, but there are no such thing as hybrid rights. If you're human, you can claim on certain human rights. If you're an animal even have rights. But if you become human 2.0 or transhuman, there are no legislation in any part of the world whatsoever where any law exists to protect the rights of transhumans. So think about that. If you become a transhuman, who's going to protect you? Uh, wow, 12 minutes per segment is really fast. Or am I just a slow talker today? Let's go quickly to our comment section. David Carlson, there's an excellent video of Dr. Peter McCullough addressing the Texas Senate on YouTube, talking about early effective treatment for coronavirus. Folks, check that out. That might be a very, very valuable information, and I will check that out myself. And I really love Dr. McCullough. Dr. Peter McCullough talks about so many, and I think he is one of the most outspoken when it comes to early treatments because yeah, the hospitals don't like to talk about early treatments. They're talking about, all of the protocols for this COVID is how to help people when they're already gravely ill, but there's no protocol on trying to prevent people from being gravely ill. So we've heard many times 80 to 90% of the people that come down with COVID only get mild symptoms. But for those who have vulnerabilities or comorbidities or underlying problems, like myself, I do have that. That's why I'm even more careful not to get it. Because if I get it, I have more steps than others, I think. And people with diabetes, people with who are overweight, This is what I heard. They when they get a COVID, it's a little bit deeper impact. But if you're healthy, most people who get the COVID who are healthy will get the mild symptoms and they will recover from it very, very quickly. Maybe not very quickly, but they will recover from it as if they only had the common colds, the common flu, the seasonal flu. So David was saying that there's an excellent video of Dr. David Peter. I have 30 seconds here before our break. Dr. David Zev Zelenko has his own protocol, and but let's listen to all of these wonderful doctors who are speaking more truth than those that you can hear from the establishment. Remember what Fauci said? Questioning Fauci is like questioning science. That's like arrogance that you hear from the establishment. But folks, don't go away. You're listening to Freedom Fighter Radio on a Wednesday morning. It's 9:21 Eastern Standard Time, 9:21 a.m. from Toronto. We'll be right back after these messages.
Freedom Fighter Radio. What is up?
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio and Joe. You're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right, always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful. Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Guy. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
Please consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support.
Canadians all across the country are sick and tired of the lies, the fear-mongering, and the hate speech they hear from the mainstream media. Download the free radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio. Click the link below, scan our QR code, join our mailing list, and get a free download of our Freedom Fighter Radio app only here on OJTV on The Ordinary Joe Show.
Yeah, it's Freedom Fighter Radio coming to you live, coming to the rest of the world live from the heart of the Great White North. Midtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada is where we're broadcasting, and we're broadcasting in multiple channels, including our Freedom Fighter Radio app, sponsored by Zeno.fm. And shout out to all our listeners on our Freedom Fighter Radio app. We're also on YouTube. We are also on various platforms on Facebook. And normally we have Rumble, but today we're not able to. We didn't have time to set it up. But welcome, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking around. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And weak men create hard times. It's full circle. So I think when weak men create hard times, you go back to the first one, which is, again, hard times create strong men, right? So, folks, commit that to memory, because hard times create strong men. And when there's hard times, sometimes it's a good thing. And you know what? I don't totally disagree with a great reset. The world has been fallen even before the COVID days. But what we need is a greater reset, not the kind of reset that Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum is trying to roll out in our planet, but a reset that we sponsor, a reset that we design ourselves as the ordinary Jane and Joe members of world society. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Strong men create good times. I really like that. So when hard time creates strong men, the strong men works even harder. And strong men, that's what we need. And we don't have a lot of strong men in society today because a lot of our men are weak. And I am probably one of those men who has weakened, and I'm trying to regain my strength now. Ever since I came to Canada, and um, every aspect of life is easier in Canada than when I was growing up in the Philippines. And when I first come to Canada, I am so surprised how the burgers are bigger than our even compare the Philippine McDonald's Big Mac and the Canadian McDonald's Big Mac. Big Mac is really big in Canada. Think about pizza pies. We call them pizza pie in the Philippines. The pizza cuts in the Philippines is something that you can put in the palm of your hands and it will fit inside your hands. That's the slice of pizzas I grew up with in the Philippines. When we call, hey, let's buy a box of pizza and everybody get a slice. When you get a slice, it's a small slice. It's a slice that fits in the palm of your hands. But when I came to Canada, wow, is that a slice? The slice is like you need two hands to hold that slice. So you order in a restaurant a meal, a full meal is a lot of food. And I remember growing up in the Philippines, we really have to try and be frugal with the use of water, the use of electricity. We have to be frugal with the use of what we call liquid petroleum, or the one we use for LPG, the one we use to light up our stove. But all of that went out the window when I came to Canada. So I'll admit, I became one of those weak men. And recently, I'm starting to try and transition back to trying to adapt to hardship and discomfort. So one of the things that is very important for us to talk about today, when it comes to the aspect of discomfort, because we live in such a blessed and prosperous society, we never thought that such a time in history like this, where us freedom lovers and those who embraces freedom and liberty will be pushed in a corner because we don't want to take their vax. We don't want to take their poison shots. Um, sorry, quickly, Dina Magbang was saying, I shall return, sir. I got a prayer meeting right now, praying for everybody. Wow, you're so sweet, Dina. Thank you very much for praying for everyone here. And I'll get back to the comment section right after. But folks, one of the most important thing that we really need to talk about, and I only uh, have 12 minutes per segment here, but dependence on prescription drugs will be a big problem when the hammer comes down, when the tyranny goes full throttle, and they just want to push us around or lock us up in our own homes, and they say, you cannot come out, you cannot do transactions. Very, very much like the mark of the beast, the way it was described in the Bible, where the mark of the beast, or the 666, as we know about it, the mark of the beast in the Bible describe it like this: unless you have the mark, you won't be able to buy or sell or make any kinds of transactions. And don't you guys think we're heading that way? That's the kind of build back better society that all these stars are thinking about when they think about us. Nahid Nenchi, the mayor of Calgary, just the other day he was giving again, and he looks like a golem. Man, I can say all kinds of bad words, but I don't use profanities or expletives here on the show. But if I couldn't control my tongue, I'll have such evil, vile words to say about that man. That man is just okay. So let's relax a little bit here. Let's just skip what I'm about to say about Nahid Nenchi because that really makes my blood boil. Just looking or listening to that man. I pray for Calgary. Calgary has been under a tyrannical lizard, a rodent for a mayor. I feel sorry for Calgary for having Nahid Nenshi as your mayor. I pray for my brothers and sisters in Calgary. But folks, let's get back to our conversation here. Having no access to prescription, and if you have become dependent on your prescription, and if the choices are either you take the vax, you have a vax pass, or you won't be able to refill your prescription. Like I said earlier, folks, I think the kind of rollout of tyranny that these guys are thinking about is not like the way I described to you what I learned from my brother's methods of adding more fishes into his aquarium. That method that I was describing earlier, that the fish, usually you buy a new pair of goldfish that you want to add into the aquarium that you are petting. You let it sit on top of the water for a little while so that the water in the cellophane where the fishes are that you bought and the water of the aquarium will kind of acclimatize with each other. That the water temperature will adjust. Then you pour in the fish into the aquarium. If you don't do that, according to many aquarium enthusiasts, that if you just dump the fishes, the goldfishes that you just newly bought, to join the other fishes that you are taking care of in your aquarium, if you just dump it without having, if you fail to do that acclimatization phase, in their experience, a lot of these fishes instantly die because of the change of the temperature of the water. So don't just dump goldfish into the aquarium. They can quickly or instantly die because of the change of the temperature in the water. And I think that's what's going to happen with a lot of people. And I'm preaching to myself, folks. I'm preaching to myself that I need to, if tyranny is going to come to our world and they are planning to really go full tyrant, full evil against us freedom fighters, we cannot be starting. We cannot just be starting to adjust on a how life can be difficult when it's already there. We have to learn how to survive now, even before the tyranny is full throttle. We really need to learn how to work with and activate our ability to survive in difficult days. We have to start transitioning. So a lot of people will not survive. I think a lot of people like that. My analogy with the fishes that you just dump into an aquarium and they didn't adjust to the temperature of the water and they instantly die. A lot of people will experience that, in my opinion, in our world when the government says, "Okay, everybody, just lock in. You're not gonna come out anymore." They wouldn't care if you have enough food in your fridge. They wouldn't care for if you have supplies. If they say, you're not vax, we're not letting you out. You stay in there. I'm telling you, evil is evil. There's no such thing as gradation of evil. Once you're evil, you're fully evil. When it comes to your prescription drugs, this is what I have been doing for weeks now. Almost 90%, 99% of the members of society, especially if you're in the Western, if you live in a Western society or what we so-called free world, supposedly, 99% of the members of society have some sort of prescription or dependence on some sort of a prescription drug. And this is what you should do. And this is what I do for myself. And I would recommend everybody start doing this. So I tried to lessen the frequency of my prescription little by little, So, for example, if you're dependent on whatever, um, pills, and you have to take, let's say, 3 pills a day for a certain thing, try and cut it down to 2 pills a day. Um, for me, I grew up with asthma puffers, and for many years, because it's readily available, I don't even in the Philippines, the asthma puffers are very expensive. I remember my dad complaining that one asthma puffer he said, try and make it last for a month and a half because it's 200 pesos. Back in the 80s, 200 pesos is a lot of money. And when I puff so much, it doesn't last a month. It only lasts me like 20, 25 days. And my dad says, if you can try, try and not some days, if you don't really, really need to use the puffer, try and not to puff. And the doctor said it's even good for your lungs to exercise your lungs, not to always depend on the puffer. So I remember growing up when I was a teenager, there was a month actually that I didn't even puff at least once, and I felt very good because I'm not dependent on it. And I thought, I can survive without puffer anymore because there was a time in my early years that there was a program that we're trying to follow to wean me off puffers because I became very, very heavily dependent on it. And then I was weaning off the puffers, and then I come to Canada, and and the puffers are readily available. It's not that expensive, and it's actually most of the time it's free. It's paid for by my company insurance, so I can ask my doctor, write me prescription for 10 puffers so that I can just store it up. But for weeks now, this is what I've been trying to do, and I don't even count how many puffs I do in a day just because it's so readily available and abundant that my doctor many times told me, count how many puffs do you do in a day? And I don't even count because I don't care. I have a lot of them. But recently, I think my average was maybe 3 or 4 times a day. And then I cut it down to two. And then recently, I'm not even using it. So I kind of zoom back in the past where I remember there was a time that I was about to run out of buffer in the Philippines when I was a teenager, but my dad didn't have any money to buy me a new one, so I have to make you know, maybe I only have like 5 more puffs left in that thing, but I need to make it last for a week and a half. So I didn't use it at all, and I survived. So I have been doing that for weeks now. I have not been using my buffer, and I'm keeping it there as an emergency, just in case I came to a point that I really, really need it. But here, imagine that we are under big, heavy tyranny now, and you don't have access to prescription drugs. What are you going to do? It's either you find a way to survive or you just die, right? But we have to really set our minds up now in a survival mode. The other thing is about food. I, growing up in the Philippines because of hardship and scarcity of it, we didn't live in big abundance. We need to try and save. And okay, we're up against a heartbreak here. 30 seconds. We have to try and make food last longer. And it was second nature to me not to be wasteful growing up as a teenager in the Philippines. And then I come to Canada, and because of the abundance, I dropped the ball on that. And recently, I've been trying to regain that kind of discipline. So it was a little harder for me because I think I'm also suspected of diabetes. But if I miss meals, I get this sort of like hypoglycemic symptoms where I kind of shake and sweat. I have a shakes and I get weak if I miss a meal. So a lot of people say those are symptoms of diabetes. Although when I got tested, I didn't. It was said that I don't have diabetes. So now, folks, I'm telling you many things about my medical privacy, but you know what? No one's coercing me to talk about my medical situation. So this is what freedom is about. I choose to talk about my medical, some of my medical private stuff with the friends with the people that I care about, you guys. So I'm sharing. I am willing to share some of my medical data to people that I care and I trust. But if somebody asks me, "Hey, I want to see your Vax Pass. I want to know if you are vaccinated or not," then that's a different story because that's coercion now. So that's totally different. I am never gonna comply to that kind of demand. But I'm telling you a lot about my medical private stuff because I just want to share to you, and maybe you can use it as an insight for yourself as well. If you are dependent on any kind of prescription drug, I would really recommend that you try and see if you can survive by lessening your intake. I know you will say, my doctor wants me to take this 3 times a day or every meal or every after meal. Well, that's up to you. But for me, if I have a pill that the doctor says I have to take 3 times a day and take it every after meal, what I'm gonna do for myself is I'm gonna try and take only two or even take only one and see how I feel and see if my um, innate strength will kick in and if my god-given biology will kick in and mitigate for the loss of that medicine, and if my body can try and stay strong, because you have to imagine as if you don't have medicine, because we might go to that kind of season in our history where we don't have access to any of these. So why don't you simulate that now? And I'm doing that for myself, and that's my suggestion to you guys. I'm simulating as if I don't have any prescription drugs. I do have them. It's sitting there on the side in case I really, really badly need them. But for me, if I can choose not to take them, I won't. And it strengthens my body. Naturally, my body kicks in. My natural immunity, my natural sort of my dependence on the drug is slowly, slowly pulling away. And it's finding ways to survive without it. My body is finding ways to survive even without having to use my prescription drugs. I'm sharing this with you guys because I really think you might want to try. Always imagine and simulate how it's going to be like when we live in those dark days where they cut off all kinds of supplies, they cut off all kinds of provision and access to us freedom fighters who don't want to give in to their mark of the beast or clot shots or whatever you want to call it. But I really think it's very, very. There are so many aspects of it that you can associate it with the mark of the beast, and there's so many similarities. So even only for that reason, I will never take the shots. I will never take any of these experimental vaccines over my dead body. And then now recently they're drumming up here in Ontario. They're drumming up even uh, that vile woman. Unfortunately, I used to want to like her because she's one of the few Filipino Canadians that I thought, wow, we're proud of you because Eileen Davila, uh, kind of someone who is a fellow Filipino Canadian. We thought, well, we trust a lot of Filipino Canadians that we think they're most of them that I met are people of good nature, good heart. But man, it is unfortunate that we have Eileen Davila as our medical chief officer here in Toronto. Now she's drumming up how they want to put together a program to start vaccinating 5 to 12-year olds as well. What kind of an evil person would ever think of giving the young ones, all of these experimental um, evil shots? Man, I can go on and on with that, but let's take a short break. And when we come back, we will do one last segment. And then, because we have a 10:30 show, we're not going to keep on going. We'll take a short break, and then we'll have the 10:30 show for our Canadian listeners. So, folks, don't go away. Last segment on this morning show. I hope that we reach out to actually to. I don't see. Oh, let me see. Did we reach out to many of our Australian um, usual listeners? What I have here is someone from Israel, Shuli Moran. Hello, Shuli Moran. Hello from Israel. And we have Noreen Francis Bradley from Ireland. Noreen is one of our regular listeners. Thank you for joining us, Noreen. I thought I will be expecting a lot of our Australian brothers and sisters. Usually I see them showing up whenever we go early in the morning. But we'll have one more. We will have one more segment when we come back from the break, and then after that, we'll say goodbye for now, and then we'll have another show at 10:30. So, folks, don't go away. This is Freedom Fighter Radio. I'm your host, Joey Salvador. We're broadcasting live from the heart of the Great White North. Don't go away. When we come back, we are going to continue on with our topic this morning: surviving the hardships of tyranny.
Freedom Fighter Radio. What is up? Whoa!
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio. And Joe, you're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right? Always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful. Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Guy. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
Please consider supporting the OJTV production cost and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support.
Canadians all across the country are sick and tired of the lies, the fear-mongering, and the hate speech they hear from the mainstream media. Download the free radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio. Click the link below, scan our QR code, join our mailing list, and get a free download of our Freedom Fighter Radio app only here on OJTV on The Ordinary Joe Show.
It's Freedom Fighter Radio, folks. I'm your host, Joey Salvador. Thank you for tuning in to Freedom Fighter Radio Morning. This is our first show, and this will be our last segment of the show. It will be a shorter segment. We'll say goodbye after this segment, and then we are going to have another one in half an hour. And it will give me half an hour to take a break and catch my breath. Let's go to some of, thank you for those who already engage with our, video with the likes and hugs and thumbs up. All the reactions: Fabianca Tree, Andy Martins, Tracy Holmes, Wendy Forrest, Dina Magbanwa Parle, who Dina just left for a short time because she has to go to a prayer meeting. And she said that she will be praying for us. And Dina Magbanwa Parle, Jefe Sombrero. Jefe Sombrero, welcome to the show. This is the first time I'm seeing you. And Shuli Moran, uh, also on the comment section earlier, we saw Shuli Moran said something there. And wow from Fabienne, Care from Dina, and we have Monica Garcia, Andy Martins, Wendy Forrest, Jefe Sombrero. I love Jefe Sombrero. Very, very Espanol. Scott Hammond and Michelle A. Brook. And there's a few more that I cannot see anymore from my. I have to go to the channels to see your name. So I apologize if I'm not able to read your name because I have limited slots here on the dashboard that I can see from the different channels. L. Bratland, L. Bratland, saying, "Good morning from a Canadian in Texas. Build up your immune system and you will not get the virus. Make sure you take vitamin C, D3, zinc, selenium, and the equivalent of cod liver oil. Exercise, get good 8 hours of sleep, and stay away from those who have been jabbed. They are putting out spiked prod. Is it called spike prod or uh, protein? Okay, spike protein. I think that's what she meant, spike prod. And these are very sound advice. Thank you, El, for sharing this. You know, and I'm looking down your list here. Vitamin C, I do that. Vitamin D3, we have it. Zinc, we have zinc, but we don't have selenium. And what I'm failing on really badly for me personally is the 8 hours of sleep a day. I only had an hour last night, and I'm putting together. I had an opportunity again. Somebody came to me, and I've been. Many of you know that before I became a freedom fighting broadcaster, I was mostly focused on the the right side of the brain, or the light side of life as a podcaster or a blogger, and that's my business. And I was a digital marketer for events, for concerts, for new restaurant opening, for festivals, for food events and stuff. And I interview celebrities, and so people kind of get to know me for being like that in the Filipino Canadian space. So I got a reach out from one of the moms, and I haven't been doing this. I didn't really have any appetite to do this anymore since I've been freedom fighting. But a friend of mine is has a daughter who's a Hollywood movie actress, and she wants me to interview her today. So I made an excuse for her because there are some people who's reaching out to me because they know that I'm the one who does this in the community, and from time to time, you know, so tune in at 2 o'clock today. And that's the reason I didn't have a lot of sleep last night, because I'm putting together some B rolls and putting together some of the notices and posters so that people in my community all across Canada will tune in to get to know her daughter, who's going to be one of the main cast of a new show, a teeny bopper show, just like one of your I forgot uh, what do you call that high school show here again in the past. So a teeny bopper mini series on Peacock. It's called One of Us is Lying. So Zenaya Marshall, one of the members of the Filipino Canadian community in Vancouver. I don't follow pop culture for a long while, and I get to know a lot of people that I didn't know how famous they are until somebody approached me and say, "Hey, we need you to interview this personality." And 2017, 2018, 2019 was the highlight of my exposure in interviewing celebrities, which many of them, especially Filipino celebrities from the Philippines, many of them I didn't know, and them producers and handlers and marketing managers prefer that I do the interview because they know that I don't get starstruck and I don't, yeah, I don't know them that well. And so, folks, that was my business. And from time to time, I will have to do uh, take take on some, revenue making activity on the entertainment side because our freedom fighting is not paying that enough. We have some donors, and I am very thankful for the donors. And we have some members of our Patreon. So please, those who have been considering to join our Patreon, don't hesitate anymore. Please do it today. We're only actually we added a $1 per month. Those who feel that $3 per month is too much for them, we just added a $1 per month. Where it's not something that we are promoting that well, but we are promoting $3 a month Patreon membership to help us out here on the cost of our production. Sorry, I got that alarm. Um, but folks, please do join our patreon.com/, OJTV Canada, a $3 Canadian. Now we have the Canadian $3 now. We used to have only American $3 US, which is not $3 in Canadian, and I didn't know how to do it prior, but very recently we just fixed that problem, and we now do have $3 Canadian Patreon tier. So please do help us. We need about 1,000 of those just to be able to pay for the basics, and that's not even paying for my salary yet. So from time to time, please don't be hating on me if I have to take on revenue generating activity in either the entertainment space, or as you saw in during the election season, I had to take some advertising dollars from some of the candidates, and that's how we survive for now. That's how I survive. But it would be awesome if everybody just join in with $3, and that will really help us pay for the cost, and hopefully there will be enough there also to pay for my salary. David Carlson was saying Dr. Peter McCullough. Oh, we read this already earlier. So let's just shout out to Monica Garcia, Fabian Catri, Andy Martins, Tracy Holmes, Wendy Forrest, Dina Magbano, Parley, Jefe Sombrero. We're about to close this episode with this very last, this very last segment, but we have a scheduled show for 10:30. So in 2 minutes, we're gonna say goodbye and take a half an hour break, and we'll have another 10:30 show for all of our Canadian listeners. Fabian Country was saying, Joe, it's important to take a mental health break and get away from your phone devices. Don't worry yourself sick or drain all your energy into this. So I don't have a phone, Fabian, just to let you know. And actually, I'm not drained. It actually empowers me whenever I broadcast. This is actually therapy for me when I'm doing this because I am with like-minded people like such as you, Fab, and everybody else who comes to the audience members and the comment section here. It really empowers me when I'm connecting with everybody here. But thank you. I appreciate the care that you are expressing here. Don't worry yourself sick or drain all your energy into this. I know you are powerful fire, and you fire burns hotter than most. But I want you to live and fight another day. We will win. We are winning. Let me know if you need help with anything. I can volunteer my time to you. Oh, that was wonderful, Fabian. I know I called out for help with editing before, but our brother Christopher J. Nelson actually downloaded the free app, the free software to do some video editing. he's ready for me to guide him, but I couldn't find the time to sit down and do a session, a tutorial session. But the big help will be on editing. I need to add some more ads, and I need to create ads for our upcoming broadcaster here, Lawyers for Truth from Alberta, is joining our radio show once a week. And there's the former leader of the Libertarian Party, Keith Comer, will also be broadcasting with us very soon. There's also one of the youngest freedom fighter or freedom leader of the fight, Tian Lupik from British Columbia, who will be broadcasting here soon, and a few more that seems to be interested in taking a time slot as well. So thank you for your concern, and thank you for expressing your willingness to volunteer. That would be awesome. I know you guys are busy. Many of you are doing work, and this is my work. This is the full-time job that I want to do. There, I have some side jobs, some contracts, side contracts with my still continuing on business on digital marketing. I do other things on the side, but this particular broadcasting, it is not draining energy from me. It's actually adding more energy into me when I do this. And to be strict about it, I should only be doing 1 hour or 1.5 hour per show, but I'm the one who's not able to control myself because I'm enjoying it so much that I go way past the scheduled 1.5 hour per show. But I'll have a show at 2 p.m. if you guys want to tune in. It's actually not going to be here. It's going to be the Filipino pages. I'll be interviewing a Hollywood actress. Her name is Zenaya Marshall, and she has a brand new miniseries on Peacock that will premiere in early October. I'm doing this as a favor to her mom, and also there's an opportunity for some of my non-freedom fighting donor to also kick in some revenues. So, folks, that's about it for us today. I will see you again in half an hour for our 10:30 Freedom Fighter Radio Canada, so that we can focus on some Canadian topics. This is Freedom Fighter Radio World, and hopefully we can maintain. I'm not always able to do the Freedom Fighter Radio World broadcast 8:30 in the morning because typically I'm really not very tired. I go to bed usually at 2, 3 in the morning for the other work that I do. But those are the ones that train me, not the radio show. The radio shows are empowering me, and connecting with you guys is such a blessing. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for sticking around. Please share after we get off live session. And because it's this show automatically becomes a post on all the social media channels. The only channel we didn't broadcast this morning is our Rumble. But shout out to all our Freedom Fighter Radio app listeners. Shout out to you. We'll see you again in half an hour. God bless you all. You've been listening to Freedom Fighter Radio World. Thank you, Monica Garcia. Thank you, Joe, for your program. Thank you for you tuning in. We'll see you again in half an hour for our Freedom Fighter Radio Canada. Only here on The Ordinary Joe. We'll see you very soon. God bless you all. Take a little break. We'll see you in about half an hour. Bye-bye.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up? Whoa!
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio. And Joe, you're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right? Always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful. Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Guy. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
please consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support.
Canadians all across the country are sick and tired of the lies, the fear-mongering, and the hate speech they hear from the mainstream media. Download the free radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio. Click the link below, scan our QR code, join our mailing list, and get a free download of our Freedom Fighter Radio app only here on OJTV on The Ordinary Joe Show.